Hello and welcome to this hands-on walkthrough of the Asset Importer. My name is Matthias Thurau. I'm responsible for this product feature and I'm very happy to be your host today. We heard your requests to import your own 3D objects into our toolchain to expand the 3D library of Aurelion. While it was possible to import GLTF-based 3D models before, we drastically increased the overall toolchain support. That includes persistent saving in the Aurelion 3D library, interactive material mapping for sensor simulation, mesh classification for semantic and instance segmentation visualization, as well as some basic transformation options. The Asset Importer is a graphical tool in which you can do all of that interactively and in real time, directly within Aurelion. Let's jump into it. So this is Aurelion. The new Asset Importer is part of Aurelion, and here on the left side you see a button, Switch to Asset Importer. This is how the new interface looks like. There are some editing functionalities. First of all, we can create a new asset or open any assets that we created before. But let's go for a new one. First of all, we choose the GLTF path. We can use any GLB or GLTF, and I prepared a building right here. Now there are several templates that we can use for the importing process. A static object is the default, and it means that basically only the GLTF will be loaded and nothing else. But for traffic sign, there are poles already in the template prepared. That way, the GLTF you import does not need to have its own poles. But we will come to that later. Let's for now go with static object and just import it. Here you see the building. All the materials are there and loaded, and basically I could just click on save, and this building would be in the new Aurelion 3D library. However, we have some more for the Asset Importer. On the left side you see all the different meshes, which we can click through, but also in the 3D view you can just click on the meshes. Now you can hide individual meshes that you may not want to visualize. On the right side you have some more properties of the selected mesh. So for example, for ground truth you can set a class ID. When you later want to visualize the ground truth information, the coloring depends on the class ID. So let's set this to building. Right below there is the materials that are used on the selected mesh. We can click on browse here and select a different material. So here you see an overview of all the materials that are inside of the GLB that we just imported. We could choose any material now which is used on a different mesh already, for example like that. But we can also go to a different category here on the left side. For example, pavement. Here you see a lot of pavements from the DSpace material library. Let's choose pavement 7 and click on apply. And now this mesh uses a DSpace material. When I click on the material, it will be highlighted on the left side. Here's pavement 7, but all the other materials as well. So all the materials from this asset are shown. You can see material ID is set to cobblestones for pavement 7. This is important because the sensor simulation does not know what this actually should be. And there's some additional physical properties needed so that the LiDAR and radar simulation behaves realistically. So visually you see it looks nice, but just by assigning the material ID, the sensor simulation knows what this means. Cobblestones is perfect. All the DSpace material library materials are set up. But let's check this one, which comes from the GLTF. Here you see material ID is undefined yet. We can search for a material ID that fits, for example something with brick. Now it knows not only visually, but also for sensor simulation how it should behave. Of course, we can also choose something from the DSpace library right away. For example, this brick. Or here we go for a concrete material. Now I could go on and exchange the materials and set them up correctly. But let me open one I did before. So here you see I did do a lot of changes already. Whenever I save or load the asset, it will get to the place where it was before. So here you see all the materials are set up correctly. By the way, I can also click on a material let me select it on the left side. And now I can change the scale. Because the UV coordinates of your mesh may not fit to the DSpace material library. And this way you can scale the material afterwards. Alright, then let me just save it. And now go back to Aurelion. Let's really quick create a new asset. Let's go new asset here, and this time we create a traffic sign. So for the template I choose traffic sign because the poles are already in the template, as I explained before. By the way, this object I created myself in Blender. Here you see the different polygons, and now I could just export it as a GLTF. Of course, you can use any other 3D software as well. So you see the transformation is not correct. There are some basic transformation options. Let me first rotate it by 180 degrees and then also position it a little bit downward and a little bit to the front. Yeah. So here you see the pole. The pole was not in the GLB itself, but it comes with the template. Of course, I can deactivate it if the GLB already contains the poles. I can also activate a bigger one, if that's more suited. Now again, I choose the class ID. Let's go with environment for the pole, and the traffic sign itself gets the traffic sign class ID. Again, on the left side, you see the material ID is undefined. So always when we import something, the material ID should be set if you want to have sensor simulation. Retroreflective orange fits perfect. We can also, by the way, we have a multi-material mesh here, so this works as well. We can also choose the retroreflective materials from our library. By choosing this one, the material ID is already set, and it also looks a little bit nicer. By the way, retroreflective materials have very special behavior. It reflects the lights very strongly, as it should in the real world. So there's also some special functionality with this material. Let's just save it and go back to Aurelion. Now here on the left side you see the GLTF folder. We can drag and drop our new assets that we just created into the scene. But before we do that, let's do something different first. I open Modules here in the background, and under Traffic Objects we can click on Manage. In the Traffic Object Manager, under Customer Objects, and then Aurelion, and then GLTF, we will see the just created assets. So the new toolchain support is much better than before. Let me create a new folder here. And now the new assets I can just drag and drop into my folder. By the way, I can enable the box here, which is for the ASM ground truth sensor, and you will see that the bounding box has correct values. This is a building and 44 meters is about the height. The preview image will not work, but you can always identify the objects by their name. Let me save this and close. And now we can go to the road network and place them directly on the road. So let me zoom in a little bit here. And then under Objects, I can right click and then New. And here I go to the traffic objects that I just created. Let's use the traffic sign. Now I can drag and drop this here. This is a little bit far. Somewhere here in the beginning. Yeah, just like that. You can also see I can set the rotation. So let's put it minus 90 degrees. And also the height, let's put it to 2 meters. Now I can just save the road and then download it. And after that, I can sync this to Aurelion with the help of the Aurelion Manager. When the synchronization finished, I can see my objects in Aurelion. So here you see the traffic sign that we just put on the road. You see all the different colors here on the points. It means that the LiDAR knows that there are different materials behind it. The points are colored by the material ID, basically. Here you see the building. I placed this one to the road as well. And also you again see that there are different colors indicating different materials. At any point, by the way, I can just pause the simulation. Now in the GLTF folder, I can put the assets into the scene as well. So this way you can really enhance the 3D library for your simulation. Let's continue simulation. And as you see, this works like a charm. Alright, so we just extended our 3D library with a huge building and a custom traffic sign. We adjusted all the materials as needed, added some material IDs to connect additional physical properties for sensor simulation. We classified the individual mesh parts with class IDs and saved our new assets consistently in the 3D library. From there on, we used those assets within Modeldesk, our road editor, and we started a LiDAR simulation to present the results. You can use the asset importer yourself now to extend your own 3D library. The asset importer was released with the new Aurelion release, version 24.4. In the future, we plan to extend the functionality to support new kind of templates, such as drivable vehicles. And now stay tuned for the next hands-on video and contact us if you have any further questions.
DSpace, your partner in simulation and validation.